Okay, this is part 2 of our 1-3 study guide. This will go along with your part 2 of your 1-3 homework, which deals with midpoint. Hopefully you find this actually easier than distance. I think it is. You're basically just adding two numbers and dividing by 2. And when we're in our coordinate plane, we would just do that twice. So let's start real simple with, let's find the midpoint of C to E. So C lives here at -4 and E is at 2. How would I find that midpoint? I take those two endpoints, -4 plus 2, and I just add them together, and then I divide by 2. So I get -2 divided by 2 would be -1. And what we should find is that -1 should live right in the middle of those 2 points. Right? If I connected these 2 points, a segment from here to here, that point should be right in the middle. That's my midpoint. That's what we mean by the midpoint. So we would just say the midpoint of that line segment is at -1. Okay, let's try another one. From D to G. So D is here at 0, G is here at 8. We take 0 plus 8, and we will divide that by 2. So I have 8 divided by 2 is 4. And spatially, if I look at where 4 lives, right here on this number line, should be halfway between these 2 points. That should divide that segment in 2 evenly. And let's try another one. We're here at A, which lives at -9, and we're going to go all the way to F, which is at 3. So again, -9 plus 3. It's just 2 steps here, and then we'll divide that by 2. Be careful with adding your negative numbers. -9 plus 3 is -6. Divide that by 2, and that midpoint should live at -3. Okay, that should make sense. It should look right to us spatially. Okay. How about E to G? And then I'll let you do the last two on your own. We go from E to G, from 2 to 8. We add those two together and we'll divide by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay. Let's try the next two. Go A to B, and then also we'll do B to G. So try the next one on your own and put your answer in the Edpuzzle. Okay, so hopefully for A to B, you looked here. A lives at -9. B lives at -7. So we take -9 plus -7, and we will divide that by 2. Careful with your negative numbers. It's -9 plus -7. It's -16. Divided by 2 is -8. And you can see -8 does indeed live right in between those 2 points. Okay. Try the next one on your own. Put your answer in your Edpuzzle. Okay, so from B to G, what do we get? At B, we are at -7. At G, we are at 8. So I'm going to add those two together, and then we divide by 2. So -7 plus 8 is +1. Divided by 2 is 1/2, or 0.5. Either one of those would be okay. So hopefully we got those right. So the second half of midpoint is exactly what we've been doing. The only difference is we just do it twice. Okay. So what I'm looking for when I connect two numbers in the coordinate plane, like 0, 0 and 12, 8. So here's 0, 0 at the origin. 12, 8 would be, let's say, somewhere over here. So I want to picture that segment, and I want to know what would be this point right here that lives in the middle of those two. So all I'm going to do is what I just did twice. So my midpoint has to have 2 coordinates. So to get the x coordinate, I add the 2 x's, 0 and 12, and then I divide by 2. That's one coordinate. Then I add the 2 y's, 0 plus 8, and I divide that by 2. So here I would have 12 divided by 2, which is 6. And here I would have 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So that would be my midpoint, 6, 4. If we think about where that would be here on the axis, that should make sense. It would make sense for us to say that that coordinate there is 6, 4. He's in the first quadrant. Okay, so I won't draw a picture for all of them, but that's all we're doing. We're doing the same thing twice. So my midpoint for number 10. Let's take our x coordinates. -12 plus 6, and we will divide that by 2. Then we have 8 plus 12 for our y's. It's just a matter of keeping yourself organized and adding the right numbers together. Negative 12 plus 6 is negative 6, and we'll divide by 2. 8 plus 12 is 20. Divide that by 2. Negative 3 and 10. And that's all we need to do. We don't have to draw a picture every time. You can if it's helpful to you, if you have graph paper, and that's a better way for you to visualize this. Here I have 11, x-coordinate, plus negative 9, the other x-coordinate. Divide that by 2. Negative 2 plus 13. So it's really just an exercise, and that's why we reviewed this in our algebra review. Adding, subtracting negative numbers is a key skill for us. 11 plus negative 9, that's positive 2. Divided by 2. Negative 2 plus 13, that's 11. Divided by 2. So this would be 1 and 5.5. Or if you wanted to leave it as 11 halves, that's okay as well. And next one. Negative 2 plus negative 9. And then we'll divide that by 2. Our y-coordinate is going to be 6 plus 3. Divided by 2. So you see, sometimes if we're always dividing by 2, sometimes we'll get a decimal. We'll get a half. So negative 2 plus negative 9, that's negative 11. Make sure we're adding and subtracting our integers correctly. 6 plus 3 is 9, divided by 2. So this would be negative 5.5 and positive 4.5. That would be the midpoint of that segment. Okay, let's try the last two on our own, 13 and 14, and let's put our answers in the Edpuzzle. So try 13, and then we'll do 14, and we'll put our answers into the Edpuzzle. Okay, so for number 13, hopefully we did this one correctly. We should have taken 10 plus 9, those are my two x-coordinates, and then we divide that by 2. We take negative 22 plus 10, and we'll also divide that by 2. Okay, that's my x and my y. We had the x's, we had the y's separately. 19 divided by 2, and over here we'd have negative 12 divided by 2. Okay, 19 divided by 2 is 9.5. Negative 12 divided by 2 is just negative 6. Okay, so hopefully you picked that one correctly. How about 14? So here I have negative 11 plus negative 19, and we're going to divide that by 2. Then we also have 2 plus 6, and we ought to divide that by 2. Okay. Negative 11 plus negative 19, that's negative 30, divided by 2. 8 divided by 2, so this is negative 15 and 4. Okay, so give 1-3 homework part 2 a try. You should be good to go on that. That's distance and midpoint now all together in that one section.